Hello everybody and welcome to the May 2025 update from Clydebridge Station. Before we get underway with this month's update, I first of all want to pay a brief tribute, if I may, to two men who are sadly no longer with us, both of whom passed away towards the end of March prior to the filming of this May update. Andy York was a great model railway fan. He was a former editor and a contributor to both BRM magazine and also to RM Web. Andy's passing leaves a great hole in a big hole in his family, and is a big loss as well to the model railway community. Then at the end of March came the sad news of the death of former Southern Region General Manager Gordon Pettit. Gordon was an old-fashioned British Rail regional manager, and he would later go on to become the sector director for Provincial, and he was the sector director when it was spearheaded and renamed Regional Railways. A very popular man, Gordon latterly had to go around in a wheelchair, and he was present when a Southern Region slam door multiple unit was named Gordon Pettit, and that is operated by the Bluebell Railway. My condolences go out to the family and the friends of both Andy York and Gordon Pettit. In the opening sequence you just saw there, you will have seen 47145, the Tinsley Pet arriving, Merdin Emery's. Now you'll hear me talking about that locomotive later on in the programme. I'll be just giving you a brief explanation about it. That's one of the topics for this month. We're also going to be continuing work on the street scene, which this time will involve putting down the road markings. I've actually already started on that off camera. So there'll be road markings going down. There'll also be some street furniture going in as well. And I'll be fixing a little bit of the road, which you'll see in a couple of minutes' time. There's also going to be a preview of the Glenrothes Model Railway Show, which takes place later this month at the Lomond Centre. And I'll be there with my camcorder, so I sincerely hope that you can attend as well. If you're not able to attend, don't worry. I'll be there with my camcorder on your behalf. Towards the end of the video, there'll be shout outs to other layouts and to other people as well who may be of interest to you. And there'll be some running shots throughout this programme. So that's what's coming up in this month's update. And just before I do start as well, thank you very much for all your kind comments to the department store video, the April update. As I say, being autistic, I am very, very proud indeed of what I have achieved with the department store, and I sincerely hope that I have done the former bin store in Dumfries justice. It certainly is something that before my autism diagnosis I could never have imagined doing, but being told I'm autistic and following advice on things to do, taking my time, that's what I'm doing now on the layout, not rushing jobs. And then that's why progress on the layout will be slower every month, because I'm taking my time and making it look good. And another factor as well, we're coming in now to the gardening season, so my modelling year is all year round, but I know for some people it gets too hot in their garages or their lofts or their sheds, and they maybe don't do as much work in the summer. I've got the same excuse, it can get quite hot in here. I've got the shed door open now, but I've also got a garden to look after. It's the joys of living alone, you've got to do everything yourself. Anyway, enough of me blabbing on. We'll get on with the real work this month. Now, if you hadn't already done so, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell icon so you can be notified of when new videos appear on this YouTube channel. There's at least one per calendar month. And also, if you've got any comments, queries, suggestions about anything that you're going to see in this video, then again, please post them in the comments box below. And although you'll hear this at the end, Clydebridge Station is also on Facebook and Blue Sky, so please search out for it on there. Anyway, if you're all ready for the start of the May update, all aboard and enjoy the programme. Now, this was the site that greeted you at the end of the April update, where you can see here the problem that we've got with the road surface. What I'm going to do is, it's a bit of a gamble, but I'm going to do it, is I'm going to cut this piece of surface off, lift it up and see what's the problem, why it's not going down properly, remove whatever it is that's the cause, and then get it put back down. I can't do anything else about the road surface by putting the road markings down until I fix this. There's an actual procedure I'm going to be going through for doing as much of the street scene as I can in this month's update. The road markings will go in first. I feel it's easier to do that before putting the street lights in. They'll go in next, and then we'll get some barriers, litter bins, telephone boxes in, and some people in. So that's the plan for the street furniture. Oh, and bus shelters too. So we'll be doing a lot of that in this month's update, and if need be in next month's update as well. Another thing to point out to you all is that, given the fact that I might not have enough equipment, as it were, stuff from scale models soon to complete the job, it may be that we'll only get so much done, and we'll come back to the street scene later on in the year. And I'm also going to have to touch up this as well. That'll take a couple of days to dry. The first thing I need to do though is go and cut this piece out, find out why this is not going down right, sort the fault. Right, when I cut that piece out and took it up, I found a rather large amount of glue for some reason. It ended up at one end of it and it wasn't sticking down properly. What I've done is I've cut a new piece, and what I'll do is glue it into position and then paint this area over again. I've also cut it a little bit shorter, so there's a little bit of a gap there, which you'll only really be able to see if you look at it that way. But I can live with that. Now, I'll get that glued into position and weighed down, and then I'll give all this a paint. And while that's drying, we'll do other road markings, and then we'll start off up here at the Headingley Insurance Services area. Now, I admit that these zebra crossing markings are not your prototypical one, but let's just imagine that this former Strathclyde Regional Council done that. A little gap here, nothing I can do about that now, but for here I'm going to put a little bit of filler in to make it look as if it's just been resurfaced there, but I'll wait till the paint's dry. Now, I've already put in place here the visitor map, but it's not glued in yet, so I'll take that back out now. And I've also not reinstated the NatWest Bank projection signs. One would go there and the other would go around there. So, but they'll go in much later on towards the end, and I've already marked out the space for the lamppost. Now we'll take the WH Smith van out of the way now, because I'm going to do the road markings. So there'll be the zigzag markings for the zebra crossing on both sides, and then I'll put the junction give way markings in here, and then that will allow me to put in some double yellow lines as well. And I've also got to try and find a place to put a manhole. Okay, I'm not too bothered about putting too many chevrons in here, probably just up to here, the zigzags. So there's quite a bit to do. But anyway, I'm going to get the chevrons and some double yellow lines in here. And then that'll allow me to get the other road markings in place. There we go, that's it, how it's starting to look so far. Now, just to put the W.H. Smith van into context, I couldn't make that 2 lanes. Well, I mean, I could, but you would have the problem like something like that. It'd be very tight, so I'll just left it to 1. The W.H. Smith van will go back up there. I'm going to actually try and cut a hole here to put a drain in. You might be thinking to yourself, well, why am I not putting in lamp posts first? Well, the simple reason is I'm frightened that if I put the lamp posts in first and then putting the road markings in, I might knock the lamp post, so I don't want to do that. There's a bench to go here too, and there's a memorial. Now, with regards to the memorial, it can actually go in again after I've put the road markings in and the drain cover. But the visitor map will be going in shortly. Now, for some reason it's not been sitting straight, so I may actually have to make, oh well, it's there in fact, but that will get put into place with glue. I'm thinking about making a name for this section here, but that'll be well after I've done all the work in here. And there's obviously lots of street furniture to go in. There's a telephone box to go in here. I've actually got a more modern one. There'll be one going there, so I've got the more modern one to go in here. I've got a telephone junction box that'll go round about there, so there's all sorts of things to do. I'll now be putting the double yellow lines in here, and you'll notice the gap there, and I've got the same problem here. So what I'm thinking about doing is just putting a small bit of household filler in there, and then seeing how that turns out. I'll get the double yellow line started coming around here, and a tip for you, when you're laying scale model scenery double yellow lines, do your curves and corners first. It's a hell of a lot easier than to get your straights done, and you'll know exactly how much straight double yellows you need. And the links to everything that I'm using from scale model scenery will be in the description of the video below. All the yellow road markings are now laid down. Okay, I accept that they're, in some cases are not straight, but all the road markings actually on this part here are laid down, and there'll be a street name going up very soon. And they're all laid down here. Drain covers are also in as well. I've managed to fix this problem here, and that was some, you wouldn't believe what I used in the end. Car body repair filler. There's still a bit of a gap there, but I'm going to live with that. But yeah, I used car body repair filler I used in order to try and fill as much of that gap as I can. Having laid down the yellow markings, the next job is to lay down the white markings. We'll start with a mini roundabout here and get a couple of straight lines here, and I'll start working my way along. For round here, the problem I'm going to have is a simple one. I've got a tight turn, but do I make it 2 vehicles wide or 3 vehicles wide? So I've got a lane going straight on and a lane going to the right, and then this coming back round. That's the problem I've got there. What I do know is I'm going to have an arrow with a left here, and I'm going to have an arrow with a right here to emphasise the way that the traffic's got to go with this being a one-way street. It may be necessary for me to move buildings around as well. I've also got 2 street lights at the moment drying, the grey on them drying, and then they'll be painted with the white before they get installed here on the layout, and I'm going to put the third one round about here. Then that way that'll be the street lights for this whole area done. The other thing I emphasise as well is that although I'm doing road markings suitable for my sort of era, in the 60s there were sometimes different road markings. I don't think they had bus stop bays back then, but by the 80s these were commonplace. Also in Wales you would find that these would actually be bilingual, so they'd been Welsh and English as well. Now scale model scenery don't do them in Welsh, so I think you'll just have to go for the English one only. Another thing as well to mention is that scale model scenery do stencils that you would just then spray. I won't put the link to them in the description below because I'm not using them. All the lines are now down. Mini roundabout done. I admit that these are not quite straight. These little signs here, road markings there. But yeah, that's all the lines down. The next thing, therefore, is to install the street lights. There's going to be 3 going in. One will sit here near Cameron's. One is going to sit next to the Headingley Insurance Services building. The third one will probably sit round about there next to Slater's and the Codfather. What I'll actually do is I'll have to move each building to get into them and get them positioned properly. But that's where they're going to go. They're currently getting sprayed at the moment, so it'll be a few days before they're properly dry, because I've also got to paint the white bit on here. But the drill bit I'll be using is the one that I got before, it would be in Q. There we have it. It'll be one of those, and as I say, 3 holes, one there, one there, one there. And then once they're in, we can start to build in the rest of the street furniture. A little point, by the way, when you're doing the street furniture, is put the people in last. Trust me, since when did you see that people walking past when they're installing a litter bin? They'd usually fence the area off so that the bin could be installed, likewise with a road sign. So always do your street furniture before you install the people. And the street furniture, when we come to do it, will include these: telephone boxes, litter bins, road signs. They're all down here ready to go in. And then we've obviously got the small matter of making 2 bus shelters. That'll be done later on in the video. There we go. We've got this first part now completed. I've yet to apply a street name to it, but I will do eventually. My plan being that the street name would probably go round about here. The thing is, of course, that this is a one-way street coming in this direction, i.e. from right to left. But I believe that you can put street names for pedestrians assistance on the likes of here. So we'll see how it goes. All the street furniture is in now here. The bollards are put in with this using the same drill bit that was used for the lamp posts. I've reinstated the phone box. Out of sight is another BT junction box. I've got the memorial back in place and the walker and the map. I won't put the bench back on there. I had a little thought about that, and I just felt that it would make the area a bit crowded, so I've left everything without the bench. We've got our bin man there, the WH Smith van, and we've also got the man who's just come out of the Headingley Insurance Services office, having learned that he's lost his no claims bonus. I think it's a very appropriate figure to come out of there. At the moment I've actually got some of the scale model scenery railings like this out getting dried after I've given them a neat quick aerosol with silver paint, spray paint. They'll start to go around here, and I'm looking at the possibility of it starting at this bit here where there's a clear join, and it'll go round to there. I might not bother with a railing here though, because obviously there's quite a good distance that you can view, but also there's no other junction, you see. See, unlike here, there's a roundabout. Everybody knows the traffic's going to be going round that way anyway, so I might leave the railing out, but we'll put the railings in here and here. I won't put railings in front of the department store. I've had a look at the bins Dumfries and there were no railings in front of the doors like that, so I won't bother with them here. I'll then get the railings installed round here, the first lot, and I'll see how, if I can actually get railings here and here. So it might be a case that I'm able to do all of this, get the railings done and put in place. There's a saying in life, particularly with model railways, less is more, and I think that's going to be the case here. I don't want to overload the whole area with street furniture, so I'll be putting a litter bin here and one there, and there'll be two bus shelters here and here, and up here, and there'll be some people as well. But I don't want to go and overload the whole thing with lots of people, lots of street furniture. I had thought about putting a litter bin down there as well, but I've decided against that. However, for down here, I've thought up of a possible name for this, but that's something for another time. As time permits, I'll probably get another couple of vehicles in here, and I may end up with another couple of folk in here as it's starting to come away from the town centre. I still want to have it a little bit busy. And we've also got all the other people to then install as well. Incidentally, with regards to the people, the ones that I've got here are both from Bachmann and Noch. I won't put links in the description below for you, but Bachmann ones can be purchased from their website, or more importantly can be purchased from reputable model railway retailers. The Noch ones I got from Scale Model Scenery. There it is. This bit here I've put in the glue a few times, it's still not quite right yet, so I'll hold it down like that. What I'd done there to spray that was used masking tape, as I'd done with the letters for the House of Fraser store, and stuck it onto the masking tape and sprayed one side, then let it dry and turned it over, stuck it onto a new strip of masking tape and sprayed again. I was a bit worried about whether the front that had already been sprayed would lose some of its paint when I removed it, but after a few minutes it hadn't, so it was fine. It's low tack masking tape I was using anyway. I've got one more piece to put on, and that's going to go sit there, and then that'll complete that corner there. Now, later on in the programme we'll come back and we'll add some more railings and do some street furniture. But what we're going to do now is turn our attention to the bus stops, and I'll show you how to make one of the Scale Model Scenery bus shelters that I've acquired. Now, they were familiar before, as I had one on the layout. The Bachmann one that was here will not be reappearing. So I'll go and get the kit and we'll have a look at what's what. This is the bus shelter we're going to be building, and it's the LX005 00, so that's Lima X-ray 005 Oscar Oscar, and there's two in a pack, and we'll be building both of them because I will need both on the layout. However, I've kept the old Bachmann one as a spare just in case something goes wrong with one of these. Before we talk about, before I start assembling that, this is a book that I got several years ago about the 20th anniversary of Dublin Bus, the main city bus operator in Dublin, formed when CIE was split up in February 1987. This is actually one bus shelter here, and it's the ad shell type one. Ad shell ones are actually very rarely modelled. In fact, to be honest, I've not seen them off the shelf before. I would imagine you could make an ad shell one if you wanted to substitute the window for an advertising frame. Another one, this is an older style shelter, and that's at Dunleary in 1988. I don't know if that's actually an ad shell one or not though. Ad shell at the time was owned by More O'Farrell, so it traded as More O'Farrell Ad Shell, and they actually for a little while had responsibility for the advertising on the Tyne and Wear Metro. There's another ad shell one there. There's 30,000 ad shell shelters in the United Kingdom, and the company's owned by Clear Channel. Bus shelters are the responsibility usually of the local authority, and they will come in a variety of different colours, shapes and sizes. In fact, the town that I live in here in Fife, in the actual suburb that I live in, there are two different shelters less than 5 minutes walk from each other. The one at the turning circle is black with a domed roof. The one outside the local shop is a silver one, and the one that's actually outside the local shop is a sort of Z pattern. It goes in like this, and you then go along and you board the bus there. They can be in different colours. Black as the one at the turning circle, and silver is the one at the shop. And I've also seen in here in Fife red ones as well. So there's all sorts of various different types of bus shelter that you can get. I must point out, by the way, that the designs that I'm showing you here are not exclusive to Dublin. There is actually one more design of shelter, and there it is again. You can just see that one there. That looks to be a much more modern ad shell one. There we go. So that's what bus shelters look like. Walk along your own street or look on Street View, and you'll find that some bus stops have bus shelters, and they'll be of varying designs. Now the ones that I'm going to build here, you can see they're black there, but this is a kit that you get. It builds to, and everything as you see is just in the normal laser board colour. So I'll have to paint it black. You'll get a couple of coats of black paint, so that'll take several days to dry. Then I can start assembling it. Well, this is the kit back in here. The only thing I haven't done is actually, I've only painted 2 of these when it should have been 4, so we'll get that sorted out. But this is so far the back of the shelter, which you can just see there. I've got the roof painted as well. The acylate comes in its own actual sheet, as you can see here, and you use scissors to cut it out. I'll get the other 2 bits painted, so if actually, because they go on like that, you see. And I'll go and get them painted. Just as a quick aside though, a couple of things. Now, I've been struggling with this laser cut kit glue, and what I've started doing is, where it's been, you can see it's been leaking out of the nozzle like that. I've been doing what David Watson does, and he actually puts it on a bit of card and uses it that way. Now the other thing is, this is the old Bachmann one that was on the street scene, and if you actually look there, it's white square. That could actually be where you can make an advert and put it on there, so you could effectively model one of the ad shell type bus shelters. But as I say, that's the old Bachmann one. But we'll be using the scale model scenery one on here. The back was made by one solid piece that's got a full constructed piece, and this is the internal piece, and obviously the acylate sits in between. I'll go and get the other 2 bits painted, and then I'll start putting it all together. These are the 2 bits that I'd forgotten about, but they're now painted and they're ready to go on to here. I'll glue them off camera, but what you'll see is the thick part is the part which goes to the outside, i.e. there's your shelter, that's the back of your shelter, the inside back of your shelter, and that will get glued like that, which is what I'm going to do once I've put these pieces on, so I'll have to do that off camera. Then what I'll do is get the roof on, let the glue dry, glue it all together, let the glue dry, and it's laser cut kit glue I'm using, and then that shelter will be ready to go into the layout. Now the other shelter is in the process of getting painted, so I'm working on a sort of production line type thing, and I'm also using this to help me get it properly aligned, and this is a scale model scenery jig. Now I can't remember the actual number of this, but somebody from Scale Model Scenery or somebody else that's got one of these will be able to tell you, or you can look on the SMS website. I'm going to be using that to help me get everything aligned properly and straight. I'll have to do it off camera, because I'll need two hands, but once it's done it'll be on the layout and you'll get to see it. That's the two bus shelters in place there. One there and one further along, which I'll show you in a minute. The bus stop sign that you see there doesn't come with the shelter, that's a separate thing you have to order. I've just used one of these telephone clips to make the hole to put it in and just glued it into place. Along here it's actually glued to the wall. This is the other bus shelter and you can see the back of it, and as I say, they're black, but you can actually paint them silver, white, red, maroon, blue. There's all sorts of various colours you can paint bus shelters. And as I've already said, where I live, one of the bus shelters in the street where some buses go along it's the one outside the shop, is silver. The one along at the bus turning circle, less than a couple of minutes walk away, is black. And on another street in the town that I live in, one of the bus shelters is painted in maroon, and the one across the road is an ad shell one. So there's all sorts of variety for the bus shelters. Have a look out next time you're out, and you could maybe see what your shelters are like actually where you live, and you could possibly use those ideas for yourself. This is a new locomotive that's recently arrived at Clydebridge station, and it's a celebrity locomotive. 47145 Merdin Emrys. It's a Tinsley pet basically. Now this is a limited edition one that was produced originally for Rails of Sheffield. I've bought this off eBay, but it still had its certificate. My one is number 367 of 512 produced. The locomotive, as you can see, has got its H nameplates on, but not the H Tinsley symbol. When Jim Scobie was fitting the decoder at Scooney Hobbies in Kirkcaldy, as he was turned the locomotive upside down to get the body off, the one of the nameplates on the other side and the Tinsley crest there came off, but we've rescued him and they'll get applied at a later date. The locomotive is the standard Bachmann tooling of the time, so it's one that you're very familiar with, and it represents the locomotive in its 1993-94 period. Although it's slightly out with my layouts period, it's an impulse buy and I just knew I had to go and get it. It carries a the dark blue livery, which I must point out to you right now is not the rail blue livery. That was the monstral blue that you would see on likes of 47436. So it's a completely different blue colour to that. It's a bit different. Blue roof as well. And it's got the distribution markings, the subsector markings with the repeater flashers there. The 47145 with a blue dot below it with the Tinsley mark there and the Tinsley crest there. It came DCC ready, so Jim just had to put in a decoder at Scooney Hobbies in Kirkcaldy. It's a very nice model. It's a bit of a slow runner, but given the fact that this is a 47/0, that's not actually a problem, because of course it wouldn't go as fast as say a 47/7. But the locomotive is in a very good condition. White wheel walls, driver fitted at one end, although it's also got the hook couplings at both ends. This is only the second locomotive I've got that's actually got a hook coupling. 47573 has it at one end only. Now I actually like those hook couplings because it allows you to put on the detail at both ends, and you can still run the locomotive in either configuration. You're not restricted to running it in just one with one end all the time, and very important for me here with Clydebridge being a dead end terminal station. The locomotive has got the roof detail correct as per the period that the locomotive was built in, and that the actual model is similar to that on 47706 that you can see there. Jim was telling me down at Scooney Hobbies that when this returned to Tinsley for main maintenance, because Tinsley was famous for its customisation of locomotives, it actually would go in for its main maintenance in one style and have a slight alteration to it when it come back out. So I'm not sure exactly what period this represents in, but I think it's about the 93-94 period. But Tinsley were always adding a little customisation to it or changing it a little bit there. Therefore, the locomotive wasn't always going to be the same. The most notable change over the years to this locomotive was that it lost the general markings for the distribution markings, and indeed the photo of it on my certificate does have it carrying the general markings. I believe this would be the only Class 47 to have carried the rail freight general markings. It's a 47/0, so it'll be used occasionally on the Trans-Pennine train, perhaps to replace a failed loco, but it'll mainly be used on empty stock workings, local trains, and perhaps the parcels train as well. But she's a very popular locomotive. I say she's a very popular, I mean she was sadly scrapped several years ago. But it was Tinsley's pet locomotive. Tinsley Depot, along with Thornaby on Teesside, were both very well known in BR days for their customisations of locomotives and unofficial things, shall we say. Now with Tinsley, this extended to a few locomotives. 31281 for some reason was given very large numerals, like for a large logo locomotive like a 37 or a 47 or a 56 for some reason. And it was also well known for its very popular customisation of 20036 and 20030 and 20064. They were painted in 1986, I believe, into green livery with BR symbols and a red sole bar and black surrounds. And they were very popular indeed with enthusiasts. They were also well known for a customisation of Class 08 shunters. This of course was a customisation I don't think even the BR board could have any objections to. Hornby, of course, were also well known for their customisations of locomotives. The Kingfisher symbol was officially recognised, but some of the other things that they put on weren't. Now, meaning, for instance, on rail freight, the original rail freight large logo grey livery, several of the 37/5s had large numerals when they should not have, and this extended to a couple of Class 47s as well. 47361 was given large logo blue livery with a yellow stripe at the bottom but a small BR symbol. It lost its livery for the rail freight distribution livery in 1988. But of course the most famous of them all was 37501 Teesside Steelmaster, repainted at Hornby in 1987 into British Steel light blue. It remained a one-off, and despite an order, if you can call it that, from the BR board to repaint it into rail freight livery, it never done so. It only lost its scheme in 1989 at Doncaster when it went for overhaul. It got rail freight metals livery. However, 37501 is back. It's in its rail freight, it's in its Teesside Steelmaster guise with BSC light blue. And no, it will not be coming into the Clydebridge station fleet, I can assure you of that. But this one will be. Tinsley's in South Yorkshire, but as you can see with the distribution markings, it could have worked freightliners to Glasgow, Gushett Falls. It may have even worked car trains as well, got other distribution workings, or perhaps was just stuck on to do the Leeds to Clydebridge via Carlisle service, via the Settle and Carlisle line. The Locomotive, as I say, is a limited edition, and they are quite hard to go by. I'm very pleased to have got this. It's a good fit, and Jim and Craig Mason down at New Durham Junction, when they saw this on eBay, told me to go for it, and I did get it. So it's another celebrity machine on the layout. You'll see it occasionally running here at Clydebridge station. Before we go back and see the last bits of work on the street scene, it's time to have a preview of this year's Glenrothes Model Railway Show. This year's Glenrothes Model Railway exhibition will be held on the 10th and 11th of May at the Lomond Centre, which is in the Woodside area of Glenrothes. It opens at 10 AM until 4:30 PM on the Saturday, and it's 10:30 AM until 4:30 PM on the Sunday. The show will feature numerous layouts, including at least one from the home club. There will also be layouts from other clubs across Scotland. It's thought that Cooper Model Railway Club will have a layout there. At the time of filming, the actual layouts that were going to be there were not yet confirmed, but there'll be numerous layouts in the main hall at the Lomond Centre. There'll also be the usual traders there, and Scooney Hobbies are one of those that are confirmed to be there. In addition to all of that, there'll be a bring and buy stall as well, and there's going to be a tombola too. Refreshments will be provided by a cafe to the left of the entrance when you arrive at the Lomond Centre. As well as all of this, there'll be lots of fun for the kids, just seeing these trains go round and round. This year also sees, for the first time that I can remember, the Glenrothes Model Railway Show having a bus link to it, a free bus link, provided by a heritage group based in Fife. The vehicles are either going to be a right-bodied Volvo B7 RLE, or numerically the last Leyland Leopard to be delivered to what was then Fife Scottish in 1983, PSX 189Y, which has been restored back to its original livery that it carried when it was delivered new The times for the buses will be in the link that's in the description below for the Glenrothes Model Railway Show. The bus link will go from Glenrothes bus station and also from Thornton and Markinch, and it is free. The entry fees are noted in the description below in the link, and also kids go free to the exhibition. I'll be there with my camcorder on the Saturday the 10th for a couple of hours in the morning, so if you do see me, pop over and say hello. It'll be a privilege to meet you. And on the Saturday evening, my highlights reel from the Glenrothes Model Railway Show will be up on YouTube. And I just want to make it quite clear once again that I am there on your behalf at the show for those who are unable to make it. That's the Glenrothes Model Railway Show on the Saturday the 10th and Sunday the 11th of May at the Lomond Centre, Glenrothes. Now in a couple of minutes I'll show you what's been happening that way. But up here we're nearly complete. I've still got some railings to put in there, and I'm sure I've got a phone box somewhere that could go in there, but not a red one. I had it on previously, so I don't know what I've done with it. But we've got more shoppers installed. I've employed this bit down here as a little joke. If you want to know what the back of that woman in the window with the polka dot skirt and the black coat on looks like, well, there you are. It's a little joke I've decided to put in there. Yeah, the range of double gauge figures that Bachmann produced aren't that big, so I thought I would just emphasise that there, but other manufacturers are available. I might get a couple more at the Glenrothes Model Railway Show. But yeah, that's what I've done there. It's a little joke. She's looking at herself in there. But we've got another shopper walking past here. We've got one here reading a newspaper, and obviously the bus shelter here. So this is a bit of a crowded scene here, obviously emphasised by the big department store that we've got here. And just up here, as you can see now, we've got the street vendor in. And I've put another person here reading his newspaper. Now, he's identical to the one in the bus shelter. I'm going to actually add a couple of bits of litter to this scene. Again, that's from Scale Model Scenery. I'm also going to install another litter bin just down in the other part. And one thing I will also point out to you as well is I'm not going to overdo the litter. That would be ridiculous if I did. I'm not going to overdo things with the litter. There'll be a couple of bits up here, a couple of bits here. Notice also in the NatWest Bank I've now added the projecting signs once again to the building. While I'm waiting for what barriers I've got left to dry, or the paint to dry on them, a little wee thing that's just come up here. It's not a major issue. You can see that the glue is just failed in there. Some laser cut kit glue on that, and probably a wee drop in there, and that should solve that problem. It'll probably just stain that a little bit, but that'll make it a bit more authentic, and at the same time as well it'll keep that level, so it's not a big issue at all. If I need to, I can always take this fence out temporarily at Mum's Memorial to fix it, but I don't think I'll need to. And that, folks, is the majority of the street scene now built. And a couple of things to point out to you. You can see here I've finally put that glazed panel on the notice board at the nightclub. You never know, in years to come I might rebuild this again actually, but do it with paper or spray it. But it looks good now. The last of the railings are in place here with that telephone box, and the railings are on the corner there. One confession I will make is I actually broke one of the railings, so I've had to fix it together with the other ones instead. I don't know if I want to put any more people on there. It seems to be, it's coming away from the town centre a bit, so I suspect possibly a couple more here, but this is probably about enough here. The street names have still got to be applied elsewhere. I've forgotten what I was going to call these, by the way. So I'll look back at one of my videos and see what I'm going to call them. And the only other problem here is I've got to try and fix this bit here one day. Litter lying on here and here. I might put another couple of bits in, but that is really the street scene now all done. The majority of it, and there's obviously got to be something put in there eventually for the shopping arcade that will run down there. But there we go, the connections tree's been repaired as well. There we go, that's an almost finished street scene. I'm very happy with it, very happy indeed. Now for some shout outs. Now the shout outs at the end of the programme. And the first shout is of course to the one that you see up here, Wrangler. Clydebridge Station is a proud partner of the Wrangler Clothing Company. Check out www.wrangler.com, that will take you to the appropriate Wrangler website in your territory. The first shout out this month goes to Model Railway Shed Dino here on YouTube, and that's at Model Railway Shed, it says on his profile. He says it is dedicated to his love of trains, that's real trains or model trains. He's building two layouts, a HO scale continental one and a UK 00 gauge layout. So you can check out Model Railway Shed Dino. Also another YouTube channel that's building two layouts is Pride Parkway. Now Jeff at Pride Parkway, he's got a 00 gauge one set in winter on the upper deck. The lower deck is a Somerset A end gauge layout set in summer. So that's another one for you to check out. And Richard Watson has his layout New Junction. Go and check him out please. Richard will be very pleased for your company as well there, and Richard's well known with his role at Acura Scale, and also with his layout, in fact, New Junction. So those are three layouts to check out here on YouTube. A couple other people to check out. This is a private group, but it's the Class 47 Facebook group. So if you love the Duffs like what I do, then that Facebook page is for you, Class 47. It's a private group, but please feel free to join it. And another shout out on Facebook goes to my local model shop, Scooney Hobbies. So if you could give them a check out please, they're based in Kirkcaldy. Jim down there at Scooney Hobbies has done a sterling job putting decoders into locomotives, such as the one that you see here, the one that you see here, the one that you see here. Oh, and did I mention the one that you see here as well? So thank you very much indeed for that, Jim. And two sports commentators who get my regular updates sent to their Twitter pages. Ian Crocker, if you find him on Twitter, Ian Crocker, he's a soccer commentator for Sky Sports and Premier League World Feed. And Nick Mullins, if you check him out on Twitter, he's a rugby union commentator, does some tennis as well. So check him out please. And Nick, I've got to ask a question. I'm sure you'll put the answer in here, or you'll tell me on Twitter your thoughts on Leicester City going down after a season. I'll let you give me your own thoughts on that, Nick. Well, that completes this month's update. I hope to see you at the Glenrothes Model Railway Show on Saturday the 10th. I'll be there for a couple of hours in the morning, and some of the stuff that I might buy some stuff rather to put onto the layout, and you'll see that in the months to come if I do buy anything. Next month's plan now is to actually start work over at the station on rebuilding the concourse area and rebuilding the road area and the rugby union ground entrance. Everything can be made to look better, and everything is going to be better. So that's a project for the June update that I'll be doing. And I'm also thinking for the July update, rather than doing an update, I'll just do some sort of special running session, because the weather's getting nice now. I've got a garden I want to look after too, so I don't want to always be on the layout. So my thinking is I'll maybe just do a special running session video instead of a July update. And in between all of that, I'll also be giving you a couple more modelling ideas if you fancy having a crack at building a layout. If you thought, I wonder why nobody's built a layout at that location, well, now's your chance if I give you an idea for it. So that completes the May 2025 update. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen in this update, and I look forward to your company next time. In the meantime, whatever you're doing, please do take care of yourselves, won't you? And enjoy your lives. We'll see you soon. Cheerio.